Part 67. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 662. After feeding Xiao Junyi and putting him to sleep, Xiao Jiao hugged Xiao Enran and returned to the second bedroom where he lived. She has been living with Bai Wei for these years. Fortunately, the room is large enough. It is a suite of 50 or 60 square meters. It has its own bathroom and dressing room. It is very spacious for two people to live in. They can keep company together and are not alone. By the way, Li Jie would come over to live with them occasionally and squeeze in with them. Xiao Jiao first made Xiao Enran a cup of milk powder, then took out an early education picture book, told him stories, and taught him some simple vocabulary. After Xiao Enran had a certain cognitive ability at 5 or 6 months old, Li Jie was ready to find a professional early education teacher to teach him. Excellent early education teachers are relatively more professional and can help Xiao Jiao share the hard work of raising children. It's not that most ordinary families don't want to find good nannies or excellent early education teachers, but they can't afford them, but they are not short of money. But Xiao Jiao said that she can teach her children by herself and does not need to find an early education teacher. After all, she is also a university teacher. She can even teach college students, so why can't she teach a child? Seeing the president's confident look, Li Jie smiled and followed her. Ordinary people work hard to educate their children so that they can win at the starting line. And his child is on the finish line as soon as he is born. He does not have to be like ordinary people. Only by studying hard can he have a small chance to change his destiny. What's more important is to learn to recognize the operating rules of this society, and not to be like him back then, who had no one to teach him anything and could only grow up passively under the beatings of society. They don't need to work too hard, it's enough to keep their family business. As that saying goes, the second generation of rich people are not afraid of losing their fortunes, but they are afraid of the second generation of rich people starting their own businesses. After hearing Mother Rabbit's question, the cunning fox said in a very concerned tone, "Oh, I'm here to visit your lovely baby." Mother Rabbit was very happy and said quickly, "Mom, why did the fox lie to the Mother Rabbit and eat 3 baby rabbits?" The fox is a very cunning animal. It has bad ideas in its mind. Some people are the same, just like foxes. Who is this? Before Xiao Jiao finished telling a story, he heard a loud sound of cars coming from outside. She got up and got out of bed, went to the window and looked out, and saw 3 or 4 cars parked in front of the villa. Bodyguards and Filipino maids were busy moving things under the cars. A female bodyguard reached out and opened the door of the Mercedes-Benz RV. Zhou Ziyu, dressed beautifully, walked out of the car holding Xiao Suyeo's hand. Xiao Suyeo wore a black suit and combed his hair like an adult. He looked like a little adult. Zhou Ziyu was too strict with him, which made him serious at a young age. "This Joe Fox," Xiao Jiao stared at Zhou Ziyu and snorted. Perhaps because of a tacit understanding, Zhou Ziyu also took off his sunglasses at this time, raised his head and glanced in the direction of the 3rd floor. "Fox? Where is the fox?" Xiao Enran, who was on the bed, heard the word fox and asked quickly. "It's not a real fox, it's your fox-like Aunt Zhou who is back." After so many years, the relationship between Xiao Jiao and Zhou Ziyu has also eased, but it has only been limited to maintaining a superficial peaceful relationship. The hatred of husband stealing and humiliation is irreconcilable. He also pretended to be acting in front of Li Jie, trying to retreat in order to advance. The vixen is treacherous and cunning. Not long after Lu Kaiyu became pregnant in 2015, Li Jie temporarily divorced Xiao Jiao, obtained a divorce certificate from Lu Kaiyu, and held a wedding overseas. Zhao Jie, Zhang Xiaolin, Chen Peng, and other senior executives of Kudong Group attended the wedding. Last year, in 2016, he divorced Lu Kaiyu again, obtained the divorce certificate with Shen Xian, and arranged a replacement wedding for her overseas. In this way, Li Jie fulfilled his original promise and gave each of them a status. This year it will be Zhou Ziyu's turn, but she has already held the wedding and still needs to get the certificate. But Zhou Ziyu gave up this only chance to get a status, and once again told Li Jie that she would stick to her original promise and be his lifelong lover. Seeing her firm attitude, Li Jie stopped insisting. As soon as Zhou Ziyu led Xiao and ran into the villa, he saw Xiao Junting running out of the room excitedly. Aunt Zhou. She has a very good impression of Aunt Zhou. Every time she comes back, she brings her many gifts, including clothes, toys, and snacks. What's more, when her brother Zhou Suyeo comes, she will have a playmate. Xiao Junting considered herself to be an older child in the first grade of elementary school, and she no longer wanted to play with Li Minggrui, a kid who was still in kindergarten. Li Enran and Li Yun's are even younger. Zhou Ziyu leaned over and hugged her, and said with a smile, "Ting Ting, do you miss your aunt? Think about it. Auntie brought you a cute Winnie the Pooh, do you want it? Want to? Then do you think it's better for me or your Aunt Jiao?" Xiao Junting's eyes wandered from side to side, as if she didn't know what to choose. "I also brought you a complete set of Sailor Moon figures, and your favorite food," Zhou Ziyu continued to say seductively with a smile. "And..." Just when Xiao Junting couldn't resist the temptation and was about to waver, she heard someone coughing slightly behind her. It was Wang Haining who came out of the room. Xiao Suyeo called her politely, "Aunt Wang." Then he called in the direction of the stairs, "Aunt Jiao." Xiao Jiao also walked downstairs with Xiao Enran in his arms. Xiao Junting glanced at her mother, then at Xiao Jiao, and quickly changed her words, "Aunt Zhou and Aunt Jiao, you are both equally good. She is quite clever. As an elder, you have to act like an elder. How can you use gifts to seduce children into saying things that go against their will?" Xiao Jiao glanced at Zhou Ziyu, and then his eyes fell on Xiao Suyeo. The cunning Zhou Fox could actually give birth to such a polite and sensible child. Zhou Ziyu smiled nonchalantly, his eyes fell on Xiao Enran who was being held by Xiao Jiao, and he sighed softly in his heart. Unexpectedly, she and Xiao Jiao had been fighting for so many years, and the final winner turned out to be Bai Wei. She was completely convinced by Xiao Jiao. She was too ambitious, so stupid, to raise other people's children. And Li Jie, she also couldn't understand what he was thinking. Doesn't he like Xiao Jiao the most? Children are a woman's last resort. If one day a man becomes unreliable. Zhou Ziyu was startled, as if he suddenly understood something. Pudong New Area, the headquarters of Kudong Group. In the large conference room, Li Jie was having a meeting with Zhao Qia, Yu Zhongfeng and other senior executives from Qwen Technology. Huo Menjian, dressed in professional attire and looking increasingly mature, sat on his right hand and was responsible for taking minutes of the meeting. She is the secretary who has stayed with Li Jie for the longest time, from 12 years to now. When I was only 15 years old, I took a long-term job of 7 or 8 months because of family matters, but I was not replaced. After returning, she continued to work as Li Jie's secretary. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 663. Since its listing in 2014, the development of Qwen technology has fallen into a bottleneck period in the past 3 or 4 years. The growth of game revenue has slowed down significantly, and even experienced negative growth for a time. This has also caused the company's market value to stagnate. In 2014, the market value of Qwen technology was $43.654 billion, and now it is only $51.1 billion, with limited growth. Last year, the market value fell below $40 billion. However, the market value of Wanji has grown rapidly in recent years, exceeding the $20 billion and $30 billion mark successively, narrowing the gap with Qwen technology. The market values of Penguin and Ali have surged year after year. In 2016, large-scale housing reform and real estate companies broke out across the country. However, the market value of Qwen Technology has remained stagnant, which also caused Li Jie to lose his position as the richest man. And his ranking on the rich list has been declining year after year. Last year, his net worth of $23.6 billion ranked fourth on the list, falling out of the top three. In 2016, the market value of Qwen Technology fell to $36.8 billion when it was at its lowest. However, this year, Pink6e went public, and the valuation of Kudong Video's delivery model has also increased significantly. When the rich list is released again in October, Li Jie is likely to be the richest man again. Qwen Technology has developed rapidly in the past few years, mainly relying on the strong revenue-generating ability of many popular games such as Ion, League of Legends, Dandan Tang, and Divine Comedy. There are also huge profits brought about by the successful export of 20 or 30 smartphone and iPad mini games such as Angry Birds, Temple Escape, and Naughty Pig overseas. Especially after 2011, small games such as Angry Birds entered a period of explosive profit. In 3 or 4 years, overseas revenue even accounted for more than 60% of Qwen Technology's total revenue, which also allowed Kudong Group to catch up in game revenue. The Penguin Group. But starting in 2015, the popularity of smartphone games has gradually cooled down, overseas revenue has dropped significantly, and even game peripherals can no longer be sold. Coupled with the rise of the mobile game market, large-scale PC games and web games have begun to decline. Although Qwen Technology has begun to expand into the mobile game market very early and has developed many popular mobile games such as Jedi Strike Back, Glory of the King, Land of the Land, etc., the current growth in revenue from mobile games it can only offset the reduced revenue from PC games, web games, and overseas markets. To put it simply, Li Jie played too many tricks in the past and created so many popular games, which made Qwen Technology make great strides and even run forward. Now the early ones are starting to lose their effectiveness, but he can't open too many new ones. In fact, the development of Qwen Technology has not slowed down, but has returned to normal development. Since 2012, Li Jie has rarely been involved in the specific affairs of Qwen Technology. His last order was to develop the two mobile games Honor of Kings and Land of the Land. On the one hand, Qwen Technology must return to a normal state of development and cannot always rely on him to cheat. On the other hand, he does not have much foresight anymore. In his previous life, Li Jie occasionally played games before he turned 30, but basically stopped playing games after he turned 30. He only heard that Genshin Impact suddenly emerged and even became popular overseas, threatening the two game giants Penguin and NetEase. Penguin wanted to acquire the development company of Genshin Impact but failed. But he had no idea what kind of game Genshin Impact was. However, Genshin Impact was developed by MiHoYo, which Li Jie still knows. Therefore, as early as 2012, shortly after MiHoYo was founded, he invested in this small company with only a dozen people and became a major shareholder, but did not interfere in the company's development. In January this year, MiHoYo established the Genshin Impact project. Li Jie made an exception and intervened in the company, adding additional funds to allow them to speed up the development of Genshin Impact. The initial development team increased from the expected 120 people to 300 people. It no longer takes 3 years, but at most 1 or 2 years to complete the development of Genshin Impact. Li Jie held this meeting to teach the executives of Qwen Technology. Since Qwen Technology went public, the company's management has become a bit arrogant and inflated, and management has become rigid. The several large-scale mobile games developed are technically outstanding and have rich content and gameplay, but they are too formulaic and lack highlights and novelty. Therefore, the games performed generally after they were launched. This is also a common problem in large companies. They stick to the old ways and have too many people. The leadership felt that as long as they followed the process, they could miraculously continue to succeed, so they began to implement a strict process system. Soon, employees regarded adhering to the process and discipline as the work itself. Li Jie wants to tell them that the most important thing about a game is always the player's experience. Don't teach players what games to play, but figure out what kind of games the players want to play. We cannot dare to innovate just for the sake of stability. And ask them to send someone to MiHoYo to investigate. MiHoYo is a company that values players. Its operating philosophy is user first. Compared with Penguin Games and NetEase, it is more daring to innovate. MiHoYo started from a very low starting point. When developing the first game Honkai Impact 1, the team only had a dozen people. They didn't even know how to do it, so they borrowed other game systems. Using the borrowed system, I made a pretty good game. Games are just like writing online articles. Everyone is copying each other, but when copying others, at least come up with something new. Li Jie rarely gets angry, and this outburst silenced all the executives present. After the meeting, he took Huo Menjian back to the president's office. Seeing Li Jie's return, Zhou Qing, who had been sitting in the reception area waiting for a while, immediately stood up. Ziaji, have you finished the meeting? Why is his cheap mother-in-law here? Li Jie's eyes fell on Zhou Qing's face and noticed that her left cheek was swollen, looking like she was holding a piece of candy. Auntie, you are sick. How about I find a doctor to take a look at you? It's nothing serious. I just have a toothache. Just take some medicine. Zhou Qingqiang smiled. She didn't have a toothache, but she was suffering from mumps because she was anxious and angry. Zhou Qing's biggest wish, which can also be said to be an obsession, is to one day officially become Li Jie's mother-in-law. Therefore, when she heard that Zhou Ziyu actually made his own decisions and gave up the opportunity to get the certificate with Li Jie, she was so angry that she almost hit someone. This is the position of the richest woman's wife. How could she, a silly daughter, be willing to refuse? The richest man's wife for a year, she was also the richest man's wife, and after the divorce, she was also the richest man's ex-wife. Isn't it much better than being without a name and status like now? Besides, you don't want to be the wife of the richest man, I also want to be the mother-in-law of the richest man. Zhou Qing tried her best to persuade Zhou Ziyu for several days, asking her to go to Li Jie and tell her that she regretted it, but Zhou Ziyu was indifferent. Seeing that she couldn't help Zhou Ziyu, she had no choice but to come to Li Jie to see if she could save things. Auntie, let's go to my office and talk. Li Jie also saw that Zhou Qing had something to do with him. Xiao Jie, then I won't bother you, Zhou Qing said accordingly. Li Jie took Zhou Qing to the inner office, and then told Huo Menjian, find a better dental surgeon. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanjie. Chapter 664. Sandalwood Villa. Zhou Ziyu directed the bodyguards and Filipino maids to clean up the room. After everything was settled, he went to take a comfortable beauty bath. After taking a bath, she took another nap to relieve the fatigue from the plane ride. By the time she was woken up by the alarm clock, it was already night. After Zhou Ziyu got up, she simply put on makeup, changed her clothes and got ready to go out. She went downstairs to the living room and saw two little guys, Zhou Suyeo and Wang Junting, both wearing VR glasses and holding game guns. They were standing in front of the big screen and playing games very enthusiastically. Yao Yao, have you finished your homework today? Zhou Ziyu had very high demands on Xiao Suyeo. From the age of 4 or 5, he strictly taught him etiquette, reading poetry and books, and learned piano, violin, foreign languages, swimming, Go, calligraphy, speech and other talents. Li Jie shook his head after reading the class schedule she made, feeling that she was too strict with her children. Hearing Zhou Ziyou's voice, Zhou Suyao made a move and quickly took off his VR glasses. "Mommy, I just played for a little while." "Yao Yao, it's not that mom won't let you play games. Everything should be done in moderation. You can relax properly after completing your homework." Seeing Zhou Suyao put down his gaming equipment and went back to his room to do his homework, Zhou Ziyao nodded with satisfaction, then turned to look at Wang Junting. Suyao is a boy who will help Li Jie take care of the family business in the future, but he cannot play like a girl like Wang Junting all day long. However, as soon as Zhou Ziyao drove away with his bodyguards, Wang Junting ran upstairs and dragged Zhou Suyao out of the room. "This time we went to the underground game room to play, and asked Aunt Ruanjing, to help us keep an eye on it so that we don't get caught again." Wang Junting felt a little sympathy for this younger brother. He was so strictly controlled by his mother and had endless homework to do every day. Unlike Zhou Ziyao, who has strict requirements for his son, Wang Haining is very relaxed about her daughter and does not have excessive requirements for academic performance and talents. As for the education of children, Li Jie advocates giving priority to guidance and supplementing by discipline. Children should be allowed to do whatever they are at whatever age they are. Children are more playful, so they should be allowed to play more and enjoy the fun of childhood without killing the child's nature. Try to meet the child's needs, especially the things the child desires most, such as a game console or a doll. Otherwise, the child's childhood will be incomplete, which will cause personality and psychological problems. This kind of personality and psychological problem is not visible on the surface, and it is something that many parents do not pay attention to and ignore. But children will gradually become more inferior or rebellious, and even become more indulgent when they grow up to make up for their childhood shortcomings. However, if Xiao Qiao and Zhou Ziyao had their own opinions on educating their children, Li Jie would not interfere too much. After all, he is not very competent as a father. He rarely has time to pay attention to his children, let alone accompany them to grow up and supervise their education. Before blaming others, think about whether you have done it yourself. Don't ask others when you haven't done it yourself. Therefore, Wang Junting, who grew up beside Wang Haining and Li Jie, is very happy. Wang Haining treats her like a mother and a sister, and Li Jie buys her whatever she wants. For example, she and Zhou Suyao just played a VR virtual reality game. A set of gaming equipment is worth 4 to 5 million yuan. 99.9% of the children have never even seen it, let alone owning it. Zhou Ziyao drove a Mercedes-Benz G to a high-end restaurant on the Bund. Under the guidance of the waiter, he walked into a private room. Seeing Zhou Ziyao coming, a petite, pretty and cute girl in the box immediately stood up and greeted with a smile, "Tsuyu, you are here." Zhou Ziyao looked at the girl up and down with slight surprise. "Lily, it's been a few years since I last saw you become so beautiful, and you've also turned white." Yes, this girl is the dark-skinned beauty Huo Lily back then. Not only is she better at dressing up than she was a few years ago, she has become more beautiful and fashionable, her skin has also become whiter, and she looks even younger than she did then. "I'm just better at makeup and dressing up, but Tsuyu, you are becoming more and more beautiful and elegant." After not seeing each other for several years, Huo Lily acted a little strange and polite to Zhou Ziyao. The two chatted for a while and recalled many interesting things from their studies. This time they gradually regained their former intimacy. Xiao Qian, Cao Xiao Qian, got married on a blind date not long after graduation. Now her children are in kindergarten. Ziona, Song Ziona, also got married 2 years ago. Her husband was when she was an anchor, but Ziya has never been married. Zhou Ziyao listened to Huo Lily's story quietly without saying anything. She only studied at Hongcheng Normal University for 1 year, so she only had a good relationship with Huo Lily and only had an average relationship with other people in the dormitory. 7 or 8 years have passed, and the memories of Cao Xiaoqian, Song Ziona, and others are a little blurry. By the way, Ziu, how are you and Li Shaofa doing? Suyao should be in elementary school soon, right? Huo Lily asked instead. Zhou Ziu smiled and nodded. Suyao is in the first grade this year. Stop talking about us all the time. Lily, tell me about yourself. Have you had any boyfriends in the past few years? How many have you had? Huo Lily's expression was a little strange. There are only a few, so I just talked about this one. Just one date? Then it seems like true love. Zhou Ziu smiled and asked, tell me, how did you meet, and what kind of person is he? Huo Lily's expression was a little awkward. Ziu, actually he is the boy I met online when I was playing games with him. That boy you met online? Zhou Ziu was stunned for a moment, then remembered something and said in surprise, you're not talking about the high school student who molested you online, are you? When Huo Lily was playing games in college, she was attracted by a handsome second-generation rich man. It's just that this rich second generation is a bit young. He has just entered high school. He is only 16 years old, which means he has not yet reached adulthood. Yes, that's him. Huo Lily nodded. Lily, I remember you said at that time that you wouldn't like brats, so why, are you not afraid of others saying that you are an old cow eating young grass? Zhou Ziu said with a smile. Huo Lily was a little overwhelmed by her teasing. Why are old cows eating young grass? Ziu, why do you say it so harshly? I am only 3 or 4 years older than him. At most, we can just call it a sibling relationship. Besides, I didn't expect that he would really apply for a university in Shanghai and go to Shanghai to find me. I was so entangled by him that I had no choice but to do anything. Tisk tisk, we met in a game, and after 3 years of dating, a junior from a rich family fell in love with me. I didn't expect that. Lily, you two are so romantic, a perfect plot for an idol drama. How about I find someone to write a script and will their story be put on the screen? Zhou Ziu really envied Huo Lily. When she and Li Jie were together, they lacked a romantic connection. She forced it, and the movie adaptation was also restricted. Tsuyu, please stop making fun of me. Huo Lily said. Please forgive me. Zhou Ziu stopped joking. Lily, why didn't you bring him too, just for me to meet him? Why did we bring him to our sister's gathering? After Huo Lily finished speaking, she picked up the mobile phone on the table and clicked on the photo album. This is him. Zhou Ziu glanced at her phone. The boy in the photo looked very mature and stable. He didn't look like he was 3 or 4 years younger than Huo Lily. The two of them were quite a match. Not bad. He's quite handsome, and he looks relatively calm. He's still a rich second generation. When you two get married, you will be considered to have married into a wealthy family. Huo Lily shook her head and said, what kind of wealthy family is his? They just own a small factory and have assets worth tens of millions, which means they have a little money. There are families like this all over Guangdong province. When it comes to wealthy families, the richest man in your family, Li, is the real wealthy family. In fact, Huo Lily has been doing very well in the past few years. She has been a host and opened a Dobayo store, using her popularity to attract traffic and sell goods, with an annual income of more than 400,000 to 500,000 yuan. Last year, I switched to Pink6 and started selling products on the platform, and it became a great success. Now I am a product anchor with an annual salary of millions. I really don't take a small business with tens of millions of assets in my eyes. This kind of small business still requires her to sell goods on the platform. The Bund, a high-end community. Lu Kai was also having dinner with Liu's father and Liu's mother. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Liu Enjet. Chapter 665. Mother Lu held little Yuns in her arms, feeding him and teasing him with a smile. She loved this little grandson whom she had been looking forward to for several years. After little Yuns was born, she retired from her job early and moved to Shanghai to help Lu Kai raise the child. Father Lu was sitting on the sofa, drinking tea and watching TV news. He took advantage of the National Day holiday to come over to see his wife, daughter, and grandson. Since having Li Jie, a good son-in-law, Liu's father has had a new career. In just a few years, he has been promoted from a small head of a unit affiliated to the County Commerce Bureau to the deputy manager of the city's head office. Not a big or small leader. Although Liu's mother repeatedly advised him to quit early and let the two of them take care of their grandson together, Liu's father had just become the company's deputy manager not long ago, and his addiction to leadership was not enough. No, he still wanted to continue to shine for the company. Fever for several years. The taste of this imperial tea is just different. Liu's father sipped the tea with a look of enjoyment on his face. The Longjing tea he drank was picked from the 18 Longjing tea trees that were given as tribute when Emperor Qianlong went to the south of the Yangtze River to visit Hangzhou. It was truly imperial tea. The annual output of 18 tea trees is only between 5 taels and 7 taels, which is extremely precious. Those who are not real dignitaries or top rich people like Li Jie have no chance to get it. In 2005, this tea was auctioned once, and 1 tael of tea was sold for a sky-high price of 72,800 yuan. Li Jie got a couple of tea leaves by chance. Hearing that Liu's father liked tea, he gave them to him. Liu's father gave half a tael of tea leaves to the leaders of the municipal bureau. He drank the remaining half taels for more than a year, and now there is still a little bit left that he is reluctant to drink. If green tea was not suitable for long-term storage, he would definitely preserve it. Mother Lu glanced at Father Lu. She had drunk the tea several times. The taste was very good, but it was not as exaggerated as Father Lu said. In fact, many luxury goods are more of a psychological feeling. This Longjing royal tea actually comes from the same water and soil as Mingqian premium Longjing tea, and the taste is no different. Ding dong, the doorbell rang at this time. Old Lu, go and see if the food delivery person is here, Liu's mother said to Liu's father. Father Lu stood up and opened the door. Sure enough, the food delivery person came. A man and a woman were both dressed as chefs, carrying a large incubator in their hands. Sorry to trouble you, Father Lu let the two of them in. This is not the hotel's food delivery staff, but the staff of the private kitchen restaurant that specifically serves Li Jie and Xiaoqiao. As the family population increases, adults and children have different tastes. In order to live a better and more convenient life, Li Jie built a top-notch private chef restaurant a few years ago to provide 24-hour service to him and Xiaoqiao. Even if Xiaoqiao and the others suddenly want to eat in the middle of the night, they can order food just like in a restaurant. After the dishes are prepared at the private kitchen restaurant, the employees will rush to deliver them. When Liu's mother first came here, she thought Lu Kai was asking an outside hotel to deliver food, and she also taught her that she should learn to cook. She didn't have to cook often, but she must know how to cook. But after learning that Lu Kai and Li Jie actually had private kitchens and restaurants dedicated to serving them, they truly realized the difference between wealthy families and ordinary families. It doesn't really seem to matter whether you can cook or not. Being able to cook may be able to capture the heart of an ordinary man, but it is impossible to capture the heart of a top rich man like Li Jie. After staying in Shanghai for more than a year, Liu's mother has become accustomed to enjoying this kind of ordering service. Now even if she doesn't have to take care of her grandson, she will never go back to Tanzhou again. She no longer wanted to serve Liu's father and cook for him. Who stipulates that women must cook after marriage? After the food delivery staff set out the dishes and left, Liu's mother temporarily handed over Xiao Yun's to Liu's father and went to Lu Kai's room to call her to eat. Lu Kai wore loose pajamas, with her hair disheveled, and walked out of the room imagelessly. She would definitely not be like this in front of Li Jie, but it didn't matter in front of her parents. "Dad, what are you drinking? The newly delivered batch of red wine is quite good. Why don't you try it with us?" "I'm not used to drinking that stuff, so I'd better drink Wu Lianjai." Liu's father shook his head and said. In the past few years, he drank Maotai and Wu Lianjai every day, and smoked Zonghua, Dajikong, and Furong Wang, which even senior leaders enjoyed. There is no more Wu Lianjai, only Maotai. Lu Kaiu took a bottle of red wine from the wine cabinet and another bottle of Maotai. Li Jie doesn't drink liquor, and she doesn't drink it either. The few bottles of liquor in the wine cabinet are all prepared for Liu's father. Lu Kaiu handed Mutai to Liu's father and asked him to open it himself. Then she poured out the red wine and got a glass for Liu's mother and another for herself. The three of them chatted while drinking and eating. "Xiao Yu, are you and Xiaojia divorced again?" Liu's mother asked. "Yeah." Lu Kaiu nodded lightly. According to the agreement, she, Zhou Ziyu, and Shen Xinyi only have official status for 1 year, and then they have to return their status to Xiaoqiao. After hearing this, Mother Lu sighed softly. "That's not bad. At least you have some status. Yun's is no longer an illegitimate child." It was already rare for Li Jie, the richest man, to be able to do this. She and Liu's father had been mentally prepared that their daughter would only be an underground lover for the rest of her life, and her grandson would become an illegitimate child who could not see the light of day. This result was already much better than expected. How could they be dissatisfied with Li Jie? Father Lu drank a glass of wine, put down the glass and said, "Li Jie, this guy is quite responsible, otherwise I would definitely not be able to spare him." Mother Lu looked at him strangely. "Why do you look at me like that? If you can, say this in front of Xiaojia." "I don't know who," nodded and bowed in front of my son-in-law. After being exposed mercilessly by Liu's mother, Liu's father couldn't help but blush. When Li Jie first became the richest man, he acted a bit reserved and groveling when facing the richest man's son-in-law. As a result, his mother Lu caught him and gave him a painful kick. "Why do you keep bringing this up? Weren't you so happy that you couldn't close your mouth when you received the jade bracelet from Xiaojia? What's the matter? Xiaojia gave me something to honor me. Of course I'm happy. It's not like you smiling happily when you were collecting things and making irresponsible remarks behind your back," Mother Lu said as she subconsciously touched the glass on her wrist. "Kind of bracelet?" Mother Liu's jadeite bracelet only has a thumb-sized grass green part, which is indeed glass grade, while the other parts of the entire bracelet are high ice, and river water grade, but they are still worth 6 to 7 million. In order to please his mother's-in-law, Li Jie gave away high-end jade bracelets. Mother Qiao, Mother Lu, Mother Shen, and Zhou Qing each gave one, but they all barely reached the glass level. Only the one he gave to Mother Li was a jadeite bracelet, is an extremely rare green glass species worth hundreds of millions. But he didn't dare to tell Mother Li the true value of the bracelet, otherwise she would be worried even if she hid it, let alone wearing it. Lu Kaiu interrupted the argument between Father and Mother Lu with a smile. "Okay, Dad and Mom, please stop arguing. Dad, don't you like drinking Longjing Imperial tea?" When Father Qiao heard about Longjing Royal tea, he became very energetic and said quickly, "Did Xiaojia get tea again?" "That's not true. The tea is indeed a bit difficult to get, but he bought you a kilogram of Mingqian Premium Longjing, which tastes almost the same. The Mingqian special grade Longjing was also produced in Shifeng Tea Garden. It has the same water and soil as Longjing Royal tea, and the quality is not much different, but it doesn't have the gimmick of royal tea. This kind of tea has a higher yield and is easier to get. 1 kilogram only costs 100,000. Why hasn't Li Jie come back yet?" After Xiao Qiao told stories and coaxed Xiao En ran to sleep, it was already 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening, but he found that Li Jie had not come back yet. This guy must have gone to find the vixen outside again. She, Lu Kaiu, Shen Xinyi and others all suspected that Li Jie had illegitimate children outside, maybe more than one or two. Diddy-da-dash, a car horn suddenly sounded outside. Xiao Qiao thought it was Li Jie who was back, but when he came to the window, it turned out to be Zhou Ziu's Mercedes-Benz G. Zhou Ziu had obviously drunk a lot, and his face was flushed when he got out of the car. She walked into the villa and was about to go upstairs when she was stopped by Wang Junting. "Aunt Zhou." "Ting Ting, what do you want from me?" Zhou Ziu stopped. "It's nothing." Wang Junting was a little nervous and unnatural. "Aunt Zhou, have you been drinking? How about I go get you some hangover medicine?" Zhou Ziu smiled and reached out to touch her head. "Ting Ting is so sensible, but no need. It's just a bottle of red wine, so it doesn't matter with her drinking capacity." Don't forget that she relied on Li Jie to pretend to be drunk. What Zhou Ziu didn't know was that when she was attracted by Wang Junting, a small figure on the stairs was running upstairs quietly. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 666. In the HP area, in a modern old bungalow, Li Jie was having dinner with Vixen. No, he was having dinner with Sun Wanning and her parents. In 2009, her grandson's father suffered a sudden cerebral hemorrhage and needed a high surgical fee to save his life. Sun Wanning explained to her family about being an anchor and took out the money to pay for the surgical fee, thus saving her grandson's father's life. Later, in order to more conveniently take care of her grandson's father, Sun Wanning took her grandson's father and mother to Shanghai. They rented a house at first, and then moved to the old house given to her by Li Jie. Although Sun Wanning was already a big anchor at that time, her time was too short. She didn't have much money saved, and treating her grandson's father was also a big expense. Also, she wants to wait and see and wait until the house price drops before buying. The result is that the longer you wait, the higher the price will rise. At the dinner table, Sun's mother treated Li Jie with enthusiasm mixed with a bit of restraint. She kept bringing him food for fear of not serving him well. Although Sun's father managed to save his life, he suffered from sequelae such as general paralysis, drooling at the corners of the mouth, and slurred speech, and was completely unable to take care of himself. After more than a year of treatment in the hospital, Sun Wanning spent millions, but she could barely stand up and needed help to walk. It was Li Jie who took the initiative to send his grandson's father abroad for treatment and spent a lot of money to find a world-class expert team. This allowed his grandson's father to walk without help and be able to take care of his own basic life. This also made the grandson's parents feel grateful and complicated towards Li Jie. "I am grateful for his help, which can even be said to have saved Sun's father's life. Without Li Jie, Sun Wanning would not have the chance to become an internet celebrity. Sun's father became ill, and the Sun family could not even raise the money for life-saving surgery. But the price is that the daughter can only be the lover of the other party for the rest of her life and will never see the light of day." Li Jie helped his grandson scoop up a small bowl of shark fin soup. "Uncle, please drink more soup. This soup is stewed from deep-sea shark fins. It is beneficial to delaying brain aging and activating brain cells, which is good for your body's recovery." Although Sun's father can basically take care of himself, he is still not as good as a normal person. His hands and feet cannot use strength, and his movements are also a bit slow. Once a person gets a serious illness, especially an older person, there is no hope of a complete recovery. No matter how good the treatment is, there will still be some sequelae. By the way, uncle and aunt, I acquired a biomedical research institute abroad a few years ago. Recently, they have preliminary researched a drug that can promote the development of brain nerve cells and enhance the vitality of brain cells. With this medicine, my uncle's body has hope of further recovery." Li Jie said to his grandson's father and mother again. Many terminal diseases and difficult diseases in the eyes of ordinary people are not problems for the truly wealthy. Just like the 1.2 million anti-cancer needles in later generations, as long as you have enough money, there is no disease that cannot be cured. After listening to Li Zhe's words, the grandson's father and mother looked at each other and were a little surprised. Xiao Zhe, it's so troublesome for you. You have put so much thought and money into my illness, son's father said gratefully. Yes, Xiaozhe depends entirely on you, son's mother also said. Uncle and aunt, why are you being polite to me? You are my elders, and I should do whatever I do, Li Zhe said, turning to look at Sun Wanning with a smile, and held her hand. This guy's attitude towards the women around him is based on his feelings and his appearance. The main reason why Yang Fengxian didn't like Li Zhe was that it didn't suit his aesthetic taste. As long as a woman is beautiful enough, even if her temper is a bit bad, a man is willing to tolerate it for the time being. Apart from Zhou Ziyu, Lu Yufei, and Wang Haining, Sun Wanning is the most beautiful person next to Li Zhe. Therefore, Li Zhe is quite concerned about her. After finishing the meal, Sun's father quickly went back to his room to rest because of his poor health. Li Zhe sat with his grandma for a while, and when he saw that it was already 8 or 9 p.m., he asked to say goodbye. Xiao Zhe, why don't you leave tonight and just stay here? I'll clean up the room for you, grandmother said to persuade her to stay. Sun Wanning said nothing, but looked at Li Zhe with expectation. No, let's do it next time, Li Zhe still declined. He tried not to stay out overnight, and even if he had to stay out, he would find a valid reason and say hello to Xiao Jiao and the others in advance. On the surface, this seems a bit cover-up and self-deception. However, it is better to have a layer of window paper than to pierce the window paper directly. Mother Lu and Sun Wanning sent Li Zhe to the door of the bungalow. They wanted to continue sending Li Zhe off but stopped her. Auntie, please stop sending me gifts. Xiaoning, then help me send Xiao Zhe off again, Sun's mother said to her daughter. Sun Wan sent Li Zhe to the gate and suddenly said, Brother Zhe, thank you. Li Zhe was stunned for a moment. What are you thanking me for? For my dad's illness, you even bought a biomedical research institute abroad. Hearing what Sun Wanning said, Li Zhe immediately understood that she had misunderstood. But he didn't explain it. Anyway, this misunderstanding was good for him. Don't be too practical when getting along between men and women. You must learn appropriate ways to treat each other. It's the same for men and women. Then how are you going to thank me? Li Zhe said with a slight smile. Sun Wanning bit her lip lightly. How about? She has been with Li Zhe for 6 or 7 years, and she knows all about his little quirks. After hearing this, Li Zhe became really energetic and couldn't help but look Sun Wanning up and down. She wore a casual black knitted hip skirt tonight. Her pure and cool face was mixed with a rebellious cool temperament, which made people want to conquer. What's more, she is still a goddess in the hearts of countless people, with a halo bonus. As the years have passed, Sun Wanning and her group of earliest internet celebrities have retired and changed careers. Chen Xian and Fang Wenwen set up an internet celebrity management company together to train and package internet celebrities, and they became bosses. Zhao Minjiao successfully transformed from an internet celebrity to a singer and became very popular. Su Yani had long since passed away, and now she is completely supported by Li Zhe. Only Sun Wanning is still working as an anchor, and she is still one of the most popular anchors on the Kudong platform, with more than 30 million fans. She is the goddess of esports in the eyes of countless gamers, and is well known in the circle for her sharp and vicious commentary style. Then let's. Li Zhe pulled Sun Wanning and turned around and walked toward the garden. This bungalow has a small garden of 120 square meters. The environment is particularly quiet at night, which is very suitable for. Don't get me wrong, Li Zhe just wanted to enjoy the night view of the garden with Sun Wanning, nothing else. By the time Li Zhe returned to Tangxiang Villa, it was already past 10 o'clock in the evening, almost 11 o'clock. As soon as I walked into the living room of the villa, I found that Xiaojiao, Zhouziu, and Lu Kaiyu were almost all there. Xiaojiao, Zhouziu, Lu Kaiyu, and Shen Xinyi were sitting around a square table, as if they were playing mahjong. Wang Zhaining and Zhao Minjiao were watching, but Bai Wei was not there. Why are you still playing mahjong? When Li Jie saw them playing mahjong, he subconsciously thought of Tang Bohu's 8 gambling wives in Tang Bohu Points for Autumn Fragrance. Xiao Jiao and the others are not obsessed with playing mahjong. You're actually back. We thought you were staying up tonight, Xiao Jiao teased Li Jie with a smile. Xinyi suggested it. This is the first time for Xiaoyu and I to play mahjong. I didn't expect it to be really fun. Of course it was fun for her to win money. It was Shen Guiguai who suggested it. Li Jie was a little surprised, but when he thought that Shen Xinyi was from Chongqing, he immediately understood. It seems that there are not many people in Chongqing who can't play mahjong. Then you can continue playing, I'll go up first. Husband, why don't you play with us for a while? I don't know how to play this. I can teach you. Xiao Jiao had just learned how to play mahjong, and it was a good time to be a teacher. Forget it, I won't play anymore. Li Jie is inseparable from gambling and drugs. Betting money on mahjong is boring. The only thing he lacks is money, so he might as well gamble on something else. Whoever loses among them. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 667. Li Jie took a shower, sat on the bed with his laptop, and processed the company's work emails. After being busy for a while, the bedroom door was pushed open, and 5 or 6 people including Xiaojiao, Zhouziu, Lu Kaiyu, and Shen Xinyi barged in together. Why don't you play anymore? Li Jie raised his head and said. Let's come over and accompany you. Aren't you excited? Xiaojiao said with a playful smile. Excited? Li Jie had a little bit of yearning for the happiness of being, Sir Wei, but once or twice, he enjoyed this kind of thing, but if it happened more often, he would suffer. Xiaojiao and the others are all about 30 years old. As the saying goes, 30 is like a wolf and 40 is like a tiger. The younger a man is, the stronger he is, but the more mature a woman is, the more open-minded she is. The young woman's level of initiative is beyond your imagination. Li Jie coughed twice to cover up. What are you talking about? Am I that ridiculous person? Seeing him like this, Xiaojiao, Zhouziu, Lu Kaiyu, Shen Xinyi, and Wang Zhaining all chuckled, and even Zhao Minjiao was also snickering. Xiaojiao said with a smile, I didn't know who was always trying to pull us away before, now you are afraid. Don't worry, I just want to scare you. Even if you want to, we are not willing. Afraid? How could he be afraid? Li Jie secretly decided not to care about them. Xiaojiao then said, tomorrow is the national day, how do you plan to spend it? Where do you want to play? We just didn't think about it, so we let you make the decision. You are the head of the family. Why don't we go anywhere? Let's just stay at home for the holidays. Li Jie thought for a while and said. Nowadays, there are more and more children in the family. It is troublesome to take the whole family to play anywhere, so it is better to rest at home for a few days. Besides, over the years, Xiaojiao and the others have been to almost all the famous scenic spots at home and abroad. That's fine, Xiaoxian happens to be getting married on October 3rd, so I don't have to run back and forth to attend the wedding, Xiaojiao said. Zhang Qiang is getting married? Who is so blind to her? Among Xiaojiao's college roommates, apart from Bai Wei, the one who impressed Li Jie the most was Zhang Qiang. Back then, when he went to the girls' dormitory building to find Xiaojiao to save him, Zhang Qiang unexpectedly attacked him by splashing water on him from upstairs. If he hadn't escaped quickly enough, he would have been drowned. What did you say? Xiao Qiao gave Li Jie an angry look. Xiaoxian looks like a tomboy because she doesn't like to dress up. In fact, she looks pretty good when she dresses up. Her current boyfriend is also in good condition. He works in a state-owned enterprise and is a department manager. Oh, I see. Do you still remember the time she poured water on you? You are also quite cautious. Li Jie, Xiao Qiao and the others chatted for a while, and when they saw that it was already past 11 o'clock, in the evening, they put away their laptops. It's quite late. You all should go to rest. I went to bed early. Go to bed early? Why don't you need us to accompany you tonight? Didn't you sneak out and eat enough? Xiao Qiao said suspiciously. This Xiao Qiao's judgment of people, no, his guess is quite accurate. Li Jie and Sun Wanning spent more than an hour admiring the night view in the small garden of the bungalow tonight, but they really lost interest. Husband, we will definitely fulfill our obligations and we will not let you stay alone in an empty room, Zhou Ziyu also said with a smile, with a teasing expression. Do your duty? Is he fulfilling his obligations to them? Several of them only have to work 1 or 2 days a week, but he has to work every day. Not only does he have no days off, but he also has to work overtime frequently. It's really difficult for a man. Li Jie's eyes wandered around Xiao Qiao and the others for a while, and finally fell on Zhao Minjiao. It was better to find someone easy to bully. Minjiao, how about you? But Zhou Ziyu interrupted him with a smile. Honey, you forgot, you chose Minjiao last night. Li Jie was also busy last night. When he got home, in order to prevent Xiao Qiao and the others from using his own body to testify and arrest him, he chose the most obedient Zhao Minjiao. Li Jie's eyes fell on Wang Haining again. Besides Zhao Minjiao, she was the most obedient. However, before he could speak, Xiao Qiao said first, hubby, if you are in trouble, just turn over the cards. Li Jie would occasionally joke before that, why don't we just turn over the brand and decide? As a result, Xiao Qiao actually found someone to customize a set of antique sleeping brands 2 years ago, and they were also divided into grades. She is a noble concubine. Lu Kaiyu, Shen Xinyi, Wang Haining, Bai Wei, and Zhao Minjiao are all concubines. Only Zhou Ziyu's brand name says Zhou Fox. Li Jie asks Xiao Qiao why he didn't get himself a queen's brand. Her answer surprised him. Because the imperial concubine is favored. In novels and TV series, it is not always the imperial concubine who is favored. The queen does not want to be seen by the emperor. But concubines are usually villains. A villain is a villain, as long as he is favored. Xiao Qiao took the tray with the brand from Zhou Jing's hand, and then came to Li Jie with a smile on his face. Your Majesty, please turn over the cards quickly, the little master of the harem can't wait any longer. Li Jie was dumbfounded by her, but it was also a blessing to have such a fun wife. Historically, the system of turning over the sign to attend the bedchamber only existed in the Qing dynasty, and the queen and concubines did not need to participate in turning over the sign. Xiao Qiao, a historically illiterate person, simply demoted himself. Li Jie chose a brand at random, turned it over and took a look, concubine Shen. Shen Xinyi was selected. Xiao Qiao snorted softly, you are lucky, if it falls into my hands, you will be dead if you don't, tonight. She said, holding up 3 fingers. Lucky. Li Jie didn't think so. Shen Xinyi looks easy to bully, but he is not really easy to bully. After Bai Wei, she is the most difficult to deal with. Although Lu Kaiyu and Wang Haining have better physical fitness, neither Shen Xinyi can fight. People's appearance and inner nature are often completely opposite. Never judge people by their appearance. But Xiao Qiao was the loudest, and the food was real food, not as good as Zhao Minjiao. However, the president has been defeated after repeated battles. No, he has been defeated repeatedly, but his spirit is still commendable. After Xiao Qiao and Zhou Ziyu left, Li Jie looked Shen Xinyi up and down. She only wore an off-shoulder gold nightgown, showing off her beautiful figure. Ever since Shen Guiguai gave birth to a child, she has become more and more like a young woman, and her figure is getting better and better. She used to be so innocent that people couldn't bear to bully her, but now she is so pure and charming that people can't wait to. Seeing Li Jie staring at her, Shen Xian smiled charmingly and said, "Hubby, if you are really tired, then let's go to bed early." After a pause, she added, "I can understand." After hearing Shen Xinyi's understanding words, the fire in Li Jie's heart suddenly boiled up. This Shen Guiguai was teasing and provoking him, and the smile on her lips completely exposed her inner thoughts. No matter how you say that, it is tolerable, but what is intolerable? He must either completely subdue this Shen Guiguai tonight, and let her shout, "Where is the dignity of a man?" Li Jie suddenly picked up Shen Xian by the waist, threw him on the big bed, and jumped on him. "Husband, if you don't have to force yourself," Shen Xinyi continued to say empathetically. "Okay," she actually dared to provoke. Li Jie suddenly stopped. "Wait a minute, I forgot something." After saying that, he was about to get up and leave. Shen Xian quickly hugged him from behind. "Hubby, why are you going?" Li Jie clapped her hand in a funny way. "Don't worry, I'll be back soon. I promise tonight." Is he the kind of person who would run away from a battle? Li Jie got up and went to the cloakroom in the bedroom, opened a small cupboard door, took out a bottle of medicinal wine, poured a glass and drank it in one gulp. Be prepared, and you cannot fight an unprepared war. It's a matter of a man's dignity, so we must not miss this time. Otherwise, if the news reaches the ears of Xiao Qiao and the others, they will laugh at him for the rest of his life. The next day, the National Day. In the indoor swimming pool of the villa, Zhou Ziyu, Lu Kaiyu and Bai Wei were swimming in the water, wearing cool swimsuits, as flexible as three mermaids. Xiao Qiao's swimming posture is not very graceful, a bit like a dog paddle. Wang Zhaining is teaching her daughter, Wang Junting, to swim. Only Li Jie was sitting by the swimming pool taking care of his children. Li Minggrui, Li Enran, and Li Yuns were all surrounding him. He knew it would be like this. Li Jie shook his head in his heart. Ever since he had a child, whenever he went out to play during the holidays, the task of looking after the child would fall on him. Stay at home and don't go out, but it's still the same. This is the price of marrying young. "Papa, big horse, ride a big horse." Li Yuns, who was over 1 year old, hugged Li Jie's calf and shouted indistinctly. "Dad, I want it too, I want to ride a big horse too." Li Minggrui, who is 4 or 5 years old, also said. Although Li Enran, who was 2 or 3 years old, did not speak, his eyes looked at Li Jie full of expectation. "Okay, let's ride the big horse. The three of you will come one by one." Li Jie sighed lightly, first picked up Li Yuns and let him ride on his neck. He has become the richest man, but he still has to be ridden by these little guys. "Dad, and me, I want to ride a big horse too." Seeing that there was a big horse to ride, Wang Junting immediately stopped swimming and ran over. "I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn." Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 668. Pudong, Wei Jiao Kiao. Mingjing Jiawan Community. Early in the morning, He Zhigang and Luqian were busy packing their luggage and preparing to drive out. Luqian put all the items she needed to carry with her into her handbag, and then picked up her 2-year-old daughter. He Zhigang dragged the suitcase and carried large and small bags. "Is there nothing left behind?" Luqian scanned the small room again, worried that she had forgotten something. "No. Have you brought your ID card, gas card, and mobile phone charger?" "Don't worry, you've brought them all." He Zhigang looked at the time and said, "Let's leave quickly." Lao Wang and the others have already set off and should be waiting for us at the meeting point. During this year's National Day holiday, Wang's Haiheng, whom he hadn't seen for many years, came to Shanghai with his daughter-in-law and made a date with his Hegang. The two families went on a self-driving trip together. Don't worry. You are always careless, how can I rest assured? Last time we went out to play, you just forgot your wallet and ID card at home, and as a result, you were delayed and missed the plane, Lu Qian said a little naggingly. His Hegang felt upset and sighed helplessly in his heart. When they were in love before, Lu Qian had a good personality, gentle and sensible, but after giving birth to the child, she seemed to be a different person. She would lose her temper for no apparent reason and would nag her over and over again about the smallest things. In 2014, seeing that housing prices continued to rise and that the money he had saved could never keep up with the rise in housing prices, his Hegang finally couldn't bear it anymore and stopped worrying about face and dignity, so he asked Li Jie for a loan of 200,000 yuan. The process of borrowing money went much smoother than expected. After he hesitated to speak, Li Jie agreed without hesitation and asked someone to withdraw 200,000 in cash and asked if the money was enough. His Hegang was very touched and felt that Li Jie was quite a good friend and did not look down on his friend just because of his different status. Unlike that kid Yang Hao, he has the face of a villain who has succeeded. After borrowing 200,000 yuan from Li Jie, his Hegang borrowed 60,000 yuan from Lu Kaiyu. Adding the 160,000 to 70,000 yuan he had saved over the years, he made up a total of 42,000 to 30,000 yuan. After getting money, his Hegang and his girlfriend Lu Qian began to look at houses all over Pudong, and finally bought a one-bedroom, one-living, 56.78 square meter small apartment in the central and outer Ring Road, Weijiao Kiao, area. About 21,000 per square meter. The total price of the house is 1.2 million, the down payment is 360,000, plus taxes and other miscellaneous things, it is just over 400,000. After they got the house, his Hegang and Lu Qian got married that year. He gave them a symbolic gift of 28,888 yuan. The Lu family paid for the decoration of the house and also gave them some home appliances. In the first 2 or 3 years of marriage, his Hegang had a very difficult life. He had to pay 7,000 to 8,000 a month for the mortgage and car loan. In the second year of marriage, Lu Qian became pregnant and had to raise a child. His salary at that time was only 8,000 to 9,000 yuan after tax. Although the mortgage and car loan were nominally paid by 2 people, Lu Qian was just an ordinary salesperson in the mobile business hall, and her salary was only 3,000 to 4,000 yuan. She spent money quite a lot. There is not much money left every month. At that time, his Hegang quit smoking and drinking in order to save money. He didn't have to smoke or drink, but his daughter's milk powder diapers had to be of good quality. Fortunately, he was promoted to department head this year, his salary doubled, and his car loan will be paid off next month, so he finally has a lot of money. His Hegang dragged his suitcase, plus large and small bags. Lu Qian held the child in one hand and a handbag in the other. The family of 3 came out of the house and took the elevator to the underground parking lot of the community. His Hegang took out the car key and unlocked the car, then opened the door to let Lu Qian and the child get in the car, then opened the trunk and put the luggage in. This Sagitar 1.4T was made with the share money he received when he and Lu Qian got married, plus the 20,000 to 30,000 that Lu Qian had saved as a down payment. His Hegang originally disagreed with buying a car just after getting married. He wanted to wait for 2 years before doing so, as it would be too stressful to pay off both the mortgage and car loans. But Lu Qian insisted on buying it, saying it was too inconvenient not to have a car. In fact, after having a car, their lives have become much more convenient. His Hegang also relied on working part-time on Didi after get off work to get through the most difficult period. After his Hegang also got in the car, Lu Qian glanced at him and said, "Brother Gang, I want to discuss something with you. What's up? He's Higang knew as soon as he heard that she must want to buy something again. When the two fell in love, Lucian was a tough guy, but after getting married, she gradually stopped screaming. It's not that she has stopped barking completely. Once she wants something, she will still bark once or twice realistically. Now that we have a lot of money, why don't we buy a better car? Change the car, He's Higang paused as he started the car. It's not about changing a car, it's about buying a new, better car, Lucian emphasized. Let's wait for 2 or 3 years. We don't have much money now, and we can't even come up with the down payment to buy another car. In He's Higang's opinion, this Sagittar priced at 160,000 to 70,000 yuan is enough, not to mention that the car has just been bought 2 or 3 years ago and is quite new, so there is no need to rush to buy a better new car. I didn't say buy it now. There are still 3 or 4 months before you guys should get your year-end bonus. If you get promoted this year, your year-end bonus will definitely increase a lot. You should get it by 50,000 or 60,000, right? In addition, the money in our hands is not enough and we need to borrow some money from others. It is not a problem to buy an Audi Q3 with a down payment. Lucian paused and then said, I am also thinking about you. It will be more honorable for you to get a better car after you get promoted. I will drive this Sagittar, so you don't have to take me to and from get off work every day. Let's talk about it then, He's Higang said calmly. Seeing He's Higang's perfunctory attitude, Lucian immediately became unhappy. I'm not telling you, you are just too rigid-minded. If you could be more flexible, you would have been promoted long ago based on your relationship with Mr. Li. We have to wait until now. Look for opportunities to go to Mr. Li's place more often during the holidays. Ask for help when it's time to ask. Don't keep losing face. Occasionally troublesome people can bring you closer to each other. If you can't do things like you, no matter how good the relationship is, it will also be broken. He's Higang remained silent, stepped on the accelerator, and the car sped out of the community. The biggest problem between him and Lucian is that their values are too different. Lucian is the only daughter in the family. She was pampered by her parents since she was a child. She has no idea that life is not easy. She always spends money lavishly and likes to spend impulsively. She has no idea of saving money. The understanding of the relationship between him and Li Jie is a bit taken for granted. When He's Higang and Lucian got married, Li Jie did not come to the wedding, but asked Lu Kaiyu to send a red envelope on his behalf. When He's Higang opened the red envelope and found that it contained the 200,000 yuan IOU written by him, he understood that the friendship between him and Li Jie as a classmate had been exhausted. If the affection is gone, don't trouble others anymore, otherwise even the last bit of affection will be gone. He is just an ordinary person and a top rich man like Li Jie, and he is not from the same world at all. In fact, what He's Higang didn't know was that Li Jie would lend him 200,000 yuan in the name of borrowing money, just to repay the lottery ticket he gave him in his previous life. Li Jie still knows how to repay kindness, but he can't do such a thing as feeding the young master cakes and repaying kindness with hatred. For a lottery bet of 2 yuan, he gave He's Higang 200,000 yuan, which was considered a 10,000-fold repayment. He's Higang drove south and soon came to a rest area. As soon as he stopped the car, a white BMW honked its horn and the car door was pushed open. Wang Zhaiheng, who was a little fat, got out of the car with a woman. Walked up and down. Brother Gang, you are finally here. As soon as He's Higang and Lucian got out of the car, they saw Wang Zhaiheng coming over with a smile. Old Wang, He's Higang said with emotion in his tone. But we haven't seen each other for 5 or 6 years. Wang Zhaiheng, who was a bit handsome at the time, has now become a middle-aged greasy uncle. Of course, he himself wasn't much better. His figure had gained a lot of weight, and his abdominal muscles had turned into a beer belly. It seems that only Li Jie has not changed at all and looks as young as he did then. It's good to have money. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 669. After He Zhigang and Wang Zhiheng made love for a while, the two families got in their cars and drove towards the Disney park. Wang Zhiheng brought his wife Shi Ziyajun to Shanghai, this time mainly for Disneyland. Last year, in 2016, the world's sixth Disneyland was built in Shanghai. Before that, only Hong Kong Island had Disneyland in China. The BMW your classmate rented looks pretty good. It's a 3 Series, right? How much does it cost to rent it for a day? Lu Qian glanced at the white BMW following closely behind through the rearview mirror. While driving, He Zhigang also glanced back through the rearview mirror. No, this is a 5 Series. The car is quite new. Renting a car is not cheap. It is estimated to cost about 2,000 a day. Wang Zhiheng came to Shanghai from Harbin, a distance of 2 to 3,000 kilometers, and it was definitely impossible to drive here. This new BMW 530 Li was specially rented by him for the convenience of traveling around. Of course, it also means showing off in front of old classmates. In fact, Wang Zhiheng only drove a Magotan in Harbin. 2,000 a day, Lu Qian clicked her tongue a little. Your classmate is really willing to give up. His family must be quite rich, right? Lu Qian's monthly salary is only 4 to 5,000 yuan. The so-called powerful spending is just that she likes to buy more clothes and cosmetics, and occasionally go to restaurants and travel around. Spending 1 or 2,000 to rent a luxury car just to save face seemed very luxurious to her. He Zhigang nodded slightly and said, the conditions in Lao Wang's family are quite good. Among the 6 people in the dormitory at that time, except for Li Jie, Wang Zhiheng's family situation was considered to be the best. Both parents worked in public institutions, and Wang's father was still a small leader who could make some money. After Wang Zhiheng graduated, he also worked in a public institution under the arrangement of his family. Although the salary was not high, only 2 to 3,000 a month, the job was easy and stable, and the benefits were good. The house, car, and bride price for his wedding were also paid for by his family. Compared with those who need to buy a car or a house on their own, he can be said to have won at the starting line. But He Zhigang is not bad either. Now he has a house and a registered permanent residence in Shanghai. He is a small department manager of a Fortune 500 company with an annual income of about 200,000. He has entered the middle class and has completely caught up with middle-class families in second-tier cities like Wangzhiheng. In terms of income and development potential, it far exceeds that of the other party. For ordinary people, if they want to transcend class, if they are not particularly outstanding, or have the help of noble people like He Zhigang and Yang Hao, they can only suck the blood of their original family. Otherwise, being dragged down by the original family, there is no way to cross the class. Just like Li Jie's little cousin, even though he was admitted to a first-class university in Tianjin after 2 years of repeated studies, he only managed to get 600,000 yuan from his entire family fortune by relying on his aunt and uncle to sell iron and steel. Buying a house with a down payment, settling down in a big city and actually staying there is a class leap. But when the aunt and uncle become old and no longer have the ability to make money, will the younger cousin really be willing to move them from the countryside to a big city to live in happiness? It's probably unlikely. In fact, this situation is very common. Many low-income families and ordinary families place all their hopes on the next generation, resort to selling pots, and even take on huge debts, just to keep their children in big cities or send them abroad. But after children go to big cities or abroad, they often never return, completely ignoring their parents who have devoted everything to them. This is the cruel reality. Only cold-blooded people can succeed. The more you value friendship, the harder it is to get ahead. If He Zhigang didn't have a noble man like Li Jie and wanted to stay in big cities like Shanghai and Quancheng, the only way would be to squeeze his family and make his parents use all their savings to borrow money for the down payment. If you only rely on your own efforts to make money, save money, and even use part of your income to support your family, you will probably spend your whole life in your 30s or 40s before you can collect enough money for a down payment, settle down in the county, marry an older leftover daughter, or marry a married woman. Give one away and find someone who is married and has children for the second time. The two cars drove all the way south and arrived at Disneyland in about 30 or 40 minutes. During the National Day holiday, Disneyland had an especially large number of tourists. It was so crowded that the queue at the ticket gate formed a long queue, and the people at the ticket gate were even more crowded. The families of He Zhigang and Wang Zhaiheng waited in line for more than 40 minutes before finally entering the park gate. This was because He Zhigang had booked the tickets online in advance, and they had arrived relatively early, otherwise they might not have been able to get in if they had queued for more than an hour. As soon as you walk through the door, you will see the towering fairy tale castle. The Mickey musical fountain in the square attracts many female tourists to take photos and take photos. Mickey Mouse goes up and down on the fountain in time with the music. You can see it everywhere. Staff dressed as Mickey, Minnie, Donald Duck, Snow White and other classic Disney cartoon characters. Seeing these cute cartoon characters, Lu Qian and Wang Zhaiheng's daughter-in-law, Shi Ziyajun, suddenly felt like girls. They ran around excitedly and took photos with the staff dressed as cartoon characters. He Zhigang and Wang Zhaiheng followed them, carrying bags and taking photos. By the way, He Zhigang is also responsible for taking care of the children. After visiting Mickey Avenue and Fairy Tale Castle, Shi Ziyajun took Lu Qian to play with her long-awaited Tron Speed Light Wheel. There are too many people here, He Zhigang glanced at the long queue in front of him while holding his daughter. He felt that it would take a long time to wait in line, and it would be quick to wait for their turn in 20 or 30 minutes. Where is this coming out to play? You have to queue up to get in, queue up to take photos, and queue up to play various activities. After spending such a high ticket price to come in, you have to queue up for nothing else all morning. Shi Ziyajun felt a little hot and fanned himself. It's already October and the Shanghai stock market is still so hot. It's already very cold in the northeast in October and it's time to turn on the heating, but here in Shanghai it's still like summer. Shi Ziyajun turned to Wang Zhaiheng and said, "Go and buy some bottles of water for everyone." Okay, Wang Zhaiheng nodded, then asked He Zhigang and Lu Qian what they wanted to drink, and then went to buy water. He Zhigang glanced at Wang Zhaiheng's leaving figure and felt a little emotional. Wang Zhaiheng was quite romantic in school back then, and he had one girlfriend after another. Unexpectedly, he was now being bossed around by his wife. Compared with his wife, He Zhigang still has a sense of superiority. Shi Ziyajun's appearance can only be said to be average, not very good looking. Compared with Lu Qian, he is not even the slightest bit worse. According to ordinary people's standards, Lu Qian can be considered a beauty. Although Shi Ziyajun is average looking, his family conditions are very good. His parents are both civil servants. Shi's mother is in the Civil Affairs Department, and his father is the leader of the Harbin Municipal Judicial Department. In total, Wang Zhaiheng is still higher up. Soon, Wang Zhaiheng came back with several bottles of drinks and bought a Mickey and Minnie ice cream for He Zhigang's daughter. This ice cream is not cheap at 40 yuan a pop. It is one of Disney's most iconic foods. After Shi Ziyajun and Lu Qian took their drinks and went to rest in the shade, Wang Zhaiheng smiled mysteriously and said to He Zhigang in a low voice, "Brother Gang, do you know who I just met?" "How would I know if you don't tell me?" "Huo Menjian. She is with a very good-looking girl, who seems to be her friend." He Zhigang listened, but had no reaction at all. To him, Huo Menjian was already a thing of the past. "Huo Menjian must be 30, isn't she married yet?" Wang Zhaiheng continued. "Probably not, I haven't heard of her getting married," He Zhigang said calmly. "She is still working as Jizi's secretary." Right. After hearing this, Wang's Haihang showed a thoughtful expression. Brother Gang, do you still have contact with Jizi? There is basically no contact. Gang shook his head. What about Yang Hao? There's no connection anymore. I never thought Yang Hao would become a big star. Wang's Haihang was silent for a few seconds and said in a complicated tone. He regretted that he was too arrogant when he was in college and did not have a good relationship with Li Jie. Speaking of which, his ability to marry Shi Ziajun was partly due to Li Jie's influence. Gang smiled faintly and said, Yang Hao, this kid is very drifting. I guess he will fall down sooner or later. Although he and Li Jie have no contact with each other, they still regard each other as buddies in their hearts. But for Yang Hao's triumphant face, he looked down on him from the bottom of his heart. Wang's Haihang also smiled. Now that he is a big star, it is normal for him to look down on ordinary people like us. How about we watch The Richest Man in Zhejiang City together tonight and see how Yang Hao does? The Richest Man in Zhejiang City is scheduled to be released during this National Day holiday. Yang Hao will star in the movie as Wang Duyu's good friend Zhuang Qiang, one of the Crouching Dragons and Phoenix Chicks. The second male lead in a major A-level production by Cuckoo Entertainment, paired with the new king of comedy Shen Tang, is definitely the highlight of his career as an actor for Yang Hao. To popularize some trivia, The Richest Man in Zhejiang City is actually a remake of an old movie Brewster's Millionaire in 1985. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 670. Hongchang, Normal College. At about 10:50 noon, before the meal started in the cafeteria, Zhang Kekai walked into Minjiao restaurant with small steps, holding a big rice bowl in one hand and a mobile phone holder in the other. Because it wasn't meal time yet and the students hadn't come over yet, the whole cafeteria was empty except for 2 or 3 cleaning ladies who were busy cleaning. Zhang Kekai randomly found a table near the aisle, put down her big rice bowl, then took out her mobile phone and put it on the stand, made a cute expression to the camera, and started recording the video. La la la, I'm here to cook again. All my roommates went out to play during the National Day holiday, and I was left alone in the dormitory. Zhang Kekai is small in stature, with a chubby face, and his eyes turn into crescent moons when he smiles. He is the cute type with a particularly toothy look. Although he is already a sophomore, he looks like a junior high school student, young, cute. However, despite her petite and cute appearance, even her speaking voice is soft, like a gentle southern girl. But in fact, she is an out-and-out northeastern girl. It seems that I came a little too early. The aunts have just started to serve the food, and they have to wait a few minutes before they can get the rice. However, they are not active in cooking, and there is something wrong with their brains. Zhang Kekai turned the camera around and took another picture of the aunties busy serving food at the meal window, then paused the filming. She took the big rice bowl to the meal window. She walked from window to window and looked at the dishes. Although the dishes were not all served, the menus were all hung out. Are you here so early today? An aunt smiled and took the initiative to greet Zhang Kekai. She is young and cute, and she always comes over to film videos of making rice. Even the aunties who make rice know her. Well, I came a little early today. Auntie, can I get some food? That's it? Zhang Kekai smiled and chatted with the cook aunt for a while, and finally stopped in front of a window with a sign that said 1 yuan set meal. She raised her phone holder, pointed it at the dishes inside the window, and continued to take pictures. This window is our school's famous 1 yuan set meal. 1 meat, 1 vegetable, and 1 soup only costs 1 yuan. It is a warm window specially opened by Li Zhezang and the school to help students with difficult family conditions. It has been 5 years since 2012. Too much. When Li Jie returned to his alma mater, Hongchen Normal University, to give a speech in 2012, he not only donated a large amount of money and updated the school's equipment, but also opened a warm window with a 1 yuan meal package after discussing with the school leaders to alleviate poverty for poor students. Life is difficult. One meat dish, one vegetable dish and one soup only costs 1 yuan, and the food is filling and the dishes are very delicious. In order to exclude some greedy students who would seize the share of poor students, the warmth window has set a standard for making meals, that is, the monthly consumption of campus cards must be less than 300 yuan. As prices rose and consumption levels improved, this standard was changed to less than 400 yuan in 2015. From 2012 to now, for more than 5 years, this warm window has helped batches of poor students, allowing them to leave the warmest memories of their college years. Nowadays, Li Jie, the richest senior student, is as popular in the school as Jack Ma is to Hongchen Normal University. Li Jie actually only studied at Hongchen Normal University for more than a year, but he left so many things for this ordinary second-tier college, such as the warm window, the internet celebrity incubation base, and the establishment of Li Jie with a donation of 100 million yuan. Educational funds, and most importantly fame and popularity. Hongchen Normal University has been established for 50 or 60 years. From a junior college to a second college, it has remained unknown for so many years and has not produced any famous alumni. However, in 2013, after Li Jie became the richest man, he suddenly became famous in the country. They all became famous and became an internet celebrity university. An ordinary second-tier university actually produced a richest man. Once it becomes famous, the school won't have to worry about recruiting students. The number of applicants will soar, making it easier for students to find jobs after graduation. Therefore, students of Hongchen Normal University, whether they are current students or graduates, are proud to have a senior like Li Jie. So what if you graduated from 985 or 211? I am a classmate of the richest man. Let's take a look at what kind of dishes there are: hand-shredded cabbage, roasted eggplant, it's great, there is my favorite braised pig's trotters. I can only take advantage of it once today for the pig's trotters, and I just happen to be on the monthly campus card consumption is less than 400 yuan. After Zhang Kekai finished speaking, he stuck out his tongue at the camera. He was so cute and even showed a small tiger tooth. After joining the short video club in her freshman year, she started shooting short videos and live broadcasting. With her cute appearance and relaxed and interesting video style, she attracted nearly 100,000 fans in 1 year. Nowadays, the monthly income is at least 5,000 to 6,000 yuan, and it is not uncommon to earn more than 1,000 yuan. This is more than most graduates earn, and it definitely does not meet the standards of poor students. Auntie, give me a pig's trotter. If you want the bigger one, give me a hand-shredded cabbage. Just 1 or 2 for rice. The cook glanced at the shooting stick held by Zhang Kekai and felt a little surprised. Hongchen Normal University is the birthplace of internet celebrities. Over the years, it has become a gathering place for the internet celebrity live broadcast industry. Students doing live broadcasts and shooting videos can be seen everywhere. The teachers, students, and staff of the school have long been accustomed to it. Only just now only freshmen entering school will find it more novel. After finishing his meal, Zhang Kekai returned to his original position with the lunchbox and sat down. He grabbed the pig's trotters and took a big bite. Well, pig's trotters are really delicious. The way she eats is very cute, and her cheeks are bulging like a little hamster. After taking a few bites of the pig's trotters, she used her other hand to smooth the bangs on her forehead, tucked the scattered hair behind her ears, and then took a sip of the soup. The winter melon minced meat soup is also delicious. After shooting the video, Zhang Kekai put away his mobile phone and mobile phone holder and started eating normally. She looked cute when she was eating, but just now she was a bit pretentious for the sake of shooting effect. Soon, the number of students waiting for food in the cafeteria gradually increased, and there were long lines at every window. There was a lot of noise, and there were fewer and fewer empty tables with no one sitting on them. A pretty and sweet-looking girl looked around with a dinner plate, looking for a place to sit. After spotting John Kikai, she quickly walked over. "Kiki. Jingro, you're here to eat too." John Kikai raised his head and said with a smile. This girl's name is Li Jinro and John Kikai, both majoring in Internet and New Media, but they are not in the same class. However, both of them are anchors, and they often communicate with each other during live broadcasts, so they can be regarded as good friends. Hongchen Normal University opened the Internet and New Media major in 2013, and was one of the first 21 universities to offer this major. Li Jingro put down her dinner plate and sat down opposite John Kikai. "Kikai, aren't you going out to play during the holidays? It's not that Senior Chen Xian and the others will go back to school for guidance during the National Day holiday. I plan to go out for 2 days after that." John Kikai wiped his mouth and said. "I think so too," Li Jinro said with a smile. As the birthplace of Internet celebrities, Hongchen Normal University has many students who shoot short videos and are anchors, but there are only a few truly famous Internet celebrities. There is only one first-line Internet celebrity, Chen Xian. The number of major Internet celebrities is far behind that of the one next door. Aviation Vocational College. After the only major Internet celebrity left graduated in 2015, the past 2 years have been a bit shabby. There is not even one Internet celebrity with more than 1 million fans in the school. On the contrary, there are 2 or 3 major Internet celebrities with millions of fans in the Aviation Academy next door. Internet celebrity. In order to change this embarrassing situation, the president of the school's short video club invited Chen Xian, Lu Mingyang, Lu Su, and other big Internet celebrities who have graduated to return to school to provide guidance and impart their experience to the club members. Among them, Lu Su is the big Internet celebrity who graduated in 2015. "Kikai, are you going to sign a contract?" Li Jingro said while eating. On the one hand, Chen Xian returned to school this time to accept an invitation to provide guidance to the junior students in the short video club. On the other hand, she also wanted to inspect newcomers, select a group of anchors with growth potential, and sign them for training. After her contract with Qiu Media expired last year, she and her best friend Fang Wenwen set up an Internet celebrity agency to work alone. The company is currently in its infancy and has no shortage of funds, but it lacks manpower. Qiu Media is the original Kudong studio. It became independent from Kudong Video a few years ago and specializes in Internet celebrity management, contract training, and training of Internet celebrities. It has become the largest Internet celebrity management company in China, and its contracted anchors are on thousands of names. Most anchors are free-range. In the past 2 years, the anchor industry has become more and more professional and formalized. Most well-known anchors have corporate groups behind them, making it increasingly difficult for newcomers to become popular on their own. I really didn't want to be a warm man when I was reborn. Author, Li Yuanzhe. Chapter 671. I haven't thought about it yet. I want to take a look before talking about it. Where are you, Jingro? John Kikai said she had not thought about it, but in fact she did not intend to sign the contract. After signing the contract, the income will be divided into 60% and 40% with the company, but the company may not necessarily make you popular. Nowadays, short videos and live broadcasts are still in the dividend period of rapid development, and the money is still very easy to make. Especially for female college students like John Kikai who seem to be innocent and easy to deceive, some men with financial strength are more willing to spend money. So even though John Kikai doesn't have many fans, less than 100,000, he makes a lot of money. Live broadcast for 2 to 3 hours every day, play the guitar and sing, and you can receive 400 to 500 gifts. I would rather sign with you media, but the competition is too fierce, Li Jingro said with some trepidation. She mainly shoots dancing videos, which can't be said to be dancing. She just changes different shapes and simply twists a few times. But she has a lively personality, is straightforward and unpretentious. She prefers to interact with fans in the comment area, and she doesn't mind even if fans make some excessive jokes. This allowed Li Jingro to gain fans very quickly. She and Zhang Kekai became anchors at about the same time, but their number of fans was nearly double that of Zhang Kekai, almost 200,000. However, she is not as good as Zhang Kekai in terms of live broadcast income. Her live broadcast is more casual, spending 2 days fishing and 3 days surfing the internet. She is not like Zhang Kekai, who regularly broadcasts every day and sets wish gifts. Zhang Kekai only looks young and naive on the outside, but any man who really thinks that she is easy to deceive would be really stupid. The two of them were chatting while eating. Just when they were almost done eating, Li Jingrou's cell phone placed by the table suddenly vibrated. She picked up the phone and took a look, and said to Zhang Kekai with a smile, "Senior sisters, I sent a message saying that senior sister Chen Xian and the others will be arriving in the afternoon. She has already gone to the airport to pick us up and asked us to gather in the T3 classroom on the first floor of the third floor at 7:30 p.m. The senior sisters she refers to is the director of the short video club and also their junior-senior student." At around 7 o'clock in the evening, after Zhang Kekai uploaded the edited video to the Kudong platform, he changed his clothes and looked in the mirror, nodded with satisfaction, and left the dormitory. Arriving downstairs in the dormitory, she rode her electric motorcycle and headed to the third floor of the teaching building. As soon as I walked into the large T3 classroom on the first floor, I found that the front row seats in the latter classroom, which can accommodate 500 to 600 people, were almost full, and it was very lively. Not only people from the short video club, but also students who are interested in making short videos and being anchors, people who heard the news and came to join in the fun, and even many students from the aviation academy next door came. Noticing Zhang Kekai's arrival, Li Jingro, who was sitting in the front row, waved to her, "Kekai, this way, I've got a seat for you." She was sitting with a girl, and there was an empty seat next to her that was occupied by Zhang Kekai. Zhang Kekai came to Li Jingro and sat down. "Why are the people from the aviation academy here too?" As she spoke, she looked diagonally behind her. She saw a cute little girl with a small nose and small eyes talking and laughing with a tall, slender, beautiful girl with a cold temperament. The girl's expressions were extremely rich, and when she smiled, she would show uneven expressions. Little teeth. These two girls are both big anchors at the aviation academy next door, with more than 1 million fans. A short girl named Enluoluo became famous for her funny emoticons. She only had 1 million followers in just 1 year after making short videos. The tall and slender girl named He Yuman is not only a big internet celebrity with millions of fans, but also the school beauty of the aviation academy. Li Jingro followed Zhang Kekai's gaze and glanced at Enluoluo and He Yuman. They should be here to discuss signing a contract. After waiting for about 20 or 30 minutes, when it was approaching 8 o'clock, Zai Xiaojing, the director of the short video club, walked in from the outside accompanied by Chen Xian, Lu Mingyang, and Lu Su. 3 or 4 years later, Chen Xian is now 27 or 80 years old, but she still looks as young as before, with just a bit more mature temperament, making her look more gorgeous and attractive. On the contrary, Lu Mingyang has changed a lot. His youthfulness and immaturity have completely faded away, replaced by maturity and brightness, but he still retains some innocence and cuteness. Over the years, the sisterhood between the two has become even deeper. Not only have they lived together, they have always been inseparable, even when they were with Li Zhe. Shanghai Bund. Suyani and Lu Xianxian, Little Sponge, walked into a movie theater together. After becoming a has-been anchor, Suyani also tried to transform. She worked hard to please Lee Je to get some resources, and played several female second and third female roles, but they were all lukewarm. Even if the show became popular, she failed to become popular. In the past 2 years, Suyani has completely stopped acting, and she has semi-retired from being an anchor. She is completely dependent on Lee Je for support, and her thoughts are on how to take care of herself and how to please Lee Je. Among Lee Je's lovers, she was not as good as Sun Wanning in terms of appearance, and not as good as Luan Xiaolin in terms of love. She also left a bad impression on Lee Je. His innocence was questionable. The only advantage she has that is not an advantage is just enough. In fact, Suyani can still stay with Lee Je more by stalking her. Nini and others are becoming more and more marginalized and are basically out. What she regrets most is that she became obsessed with it out of curiosity in junior high school, and destroyed her innocence. Forget it, he still explained to Lee Je that he fell while riding a bicycle as if his head was caught in the door panel. The description became darker and darker and he couldn't explain it at all. Otherwise, she would not be disliked by Lee Je, and her status would still be inferior to that of Chen Xian. Recently, Suyani hasn't been able to see Lee Je for nearly a month. It's common to be left out for a long time. If she hadn't been able to resolve her loneliness on her own, she wouldn't have been able to hold on all these years. They can only choose to leave actively like Nini and the others. As for cheating on Lee Je behind his back, none of them would dare. Today was the National Day. She was bored, so she asked Lu Xianxian to hang out with her. After discovering that Chen Xian had actually found a helper, Suyani was surprised and annoyed. Surprisingly, this Chen Xian seems to be quite pure and can be so open-minded. The more pure she is, the better she is at playing. To her chagrin, she was beaten to the punch by the other party. However, helpers are not so easy to find. If you don't do it right, it will be self-defeating, and the helper will become your opponent. Suyani went back and forth and finally chose the more marginalized Lu Xianxian. Li Je only had a whim for Lu Xianxian, and he forgot about it as soon as the novelty wore off. If Suyani hadn't pulled Lu Xuanxuan's hand, she would have been out long ago. It turns out that the attraction of 1 + 1 is indeed far greater than 2. With their friendship together, Suyani and Lu Xianxian have really become good best friends, a bit like sisters. After all, the chance to see Li Je was really limited, so the two of them could only comfort each other. After queuing up to get the movie tickets, Suyani took Lu Xuanxuan's hand and walked into the screening room. Girlfriends always like to hold hands with each other, and outsiders won't find it strange, but if two men are so close, people can't help but think about it. Today is the first day of the screening of The Richest Man in Zhejiang City. The screening hall is overcrowded. There are still more than 10 minutes left before the movie starts and it is almost full. Suyani and Lu Xuanxuan's seats were in the middle of the third row, which was considered the best viewing position. In the front row were two young and beautiful girls, chatting and laughing in a low voice. One of the girls glanced back inadvertently, and after noticing Suyani and Lu Xianxian, she suddenly showed a look of surprise. "Sponge, Sister Yani. Huahua, Xiao, you two came to Shanghai." Lu Xianxian was also a little surprised and said with a smile. These two girls, one named Huahua and the other Xiao, are both newly popular anchors in the past 2 years. They have 3 to 4 million fans, so they are considered big anchors. However, in front of Suyani, a first-generation internet celebrity, they are both juniors and behaved very respectfully. Even though Suyani is outdated, her status is not comparable to that of newcomers like them. The two parties chatted briefly, and soon the lights in the screening room dimmed and the movie officially started. Although The Richest Man in Zhejiang City has little depth, it is full of laughter and is a very successful commercial comedy movie. It can be seen from the audience's reaction that the laughter in the screening hall never stopped. The two girls in the front row, Hua and Xiao, were laughing so hard. Lu Xianxian smiled so hard that she couldn't close her mouth. She was that kind of stupid beauty who didn't look very smart. When she laughed, she showed her neat front teeth like a little squirrel. Suyani didn't pay much attention to the movie. Her eyes fell on Hua and Xiao from time to time, wondering what she was thinking.